You and your tea. All right, welcome to the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and this is episode 123. Joining me today is Steven.
I'm Peachy.
Yep, it's just Steven. Everyone else is doing things. So Rachel's got some stuff going on, continuing as she is, so wish her well and things going on with it. Chris just abandoned us to visit family.
We've decided to make them both paid DLC. We didn't mention it before.
Right.
Mention it now, though.
If you left a review, keep that review. We like that review, but you're going to have to pay extra to get them. Now, if you listen enough, you'll get Rachel and Chris in the show. But if you want them faster, you have to pay for it.
We have our own currency. It's called Zenny. It's not the same as Capcom's.
Oh, God. Yeah, we're about to get sued by a few companies then. So, yeah, it's just the two of us. This will be kind of a smaller, lighter episode. But I think it'll be fun. But we're going to go ahead and jump into what we've been up to because we actually have a lot of stuff to talk about this week. Steven, I'm going to let you start because you've already shown off the tea you've traveled to get. So what else is involved in your life right now?
Well, as you can see, not sponsored, but Kung Fu Tea, if you've got one near you until May 18th, they're doing...
I don't. It's 3.5 hours away.
They're going all out with Princess Peach Showtime, where there's even QR codes on top of the each of the milk caps so you can learn more about the game. They give you these adorable little like crown straw toppers, which are really nice. They have branded their own peach green tea to have the titular character on there.
Wow.
And I just love how when Nintendo markets a game, they go outside the box. They go to Cold Stone Creamery for Mario Maker and Yoshi's Woolly World and such, and then they go to Princess Peach Showtime for this.
Yeah, they go to every company that's not in my area.
So, and of course, they got the retail exclusives. So I bought 3 copies of Princess Peach Showtime because I wanted the... Don't judge me. I don't even have that kind of hair, but I got the hair ties, the scrunchies. I
like Chris's idea. Put it in the beard.
So this is from Walmart, the scrunchies. Best Buy gave me the diorama, which I got to set up.
Nice.
And Target gave me a cup, kind of like a plastic cup. So that was really nice. So it's nice to have those copies. A copy I'm missing though came from ordering directly from Bandai Namco. I ordered a couple of games because they were having a spring sale, and I was like, I'll pick up Tales of Symphonia remastered, and it came without shrink wrap, and there's no cartridge inside. Right now they're launching an internal investigation and let me know, and I was like, can't you just... I know it sounds weird, but can't you just replace it or refund me? I this is the first time I'm saying something like this happened.
Right.
So all that's going on.
Yeah.
I had to blow off some steam, so I played some Helldivers, always. The patches are coming in and kind of evening some things out now, so I like what the direction the game's going, especially now that they're adding more weapons and more not costumes, but armor and such. That's nice. When I'm not doing that, I'm trying to finish other co-op games with Chase. So I'm trying to do Sniper Elite 5, which, like I said a few episodes back, is my guilty pleasure because of the X-ray cam.
Shoot him in the nuts.
And then lastly, I sat down, and even though I'm going to admit right before I talk about this, is I never watched all 5 seasons of the original X-Men. I was more of the... Once the Sentinel saga was over, like the first season and a half, 2 seasons,
oh, wow.
I was just like, okay. And then another cartoon came on, and I basically moved on from it. But yeah, this X-Men 97, they definitely put love into it. Kevin Feige said there was 2 rules to doing it. Is 1, we got to get the song, and 2, we got to get the cast all back. So, other than the voice of Cyclops, rest in peace, everybody else has returned either in their role or in another role as another character. such as Jean Grey's voice actor is the character Val Cooper. I still think you get to hear what you wanted to hear is Cal Dodd as Wolverine. Sounds just like he left it. Sounds great. So even though he sounded weird in the trailers, he sounds awesome. And it just feels like, you know, you just woke up one day and they were like, "Oh yeah, there's another season coming." So it's like it didn't miss a beat. It was very well done. It wasn't. It had good fight scenes, but it wasn't about that. It was now about connecting with the characters, which people like.
Yeah.
So
You imagine someone waking up from like what, a 20+ year coma and it's like, what's going on? It's like, oh, the new season of X-Men is out. And it's like, oh, cool. I haven't been out that long.
well,
Let
yeah,
me
it's
break it
pretty
to
much
you.
it's pretty close here because it's X-Men '97. So all the voice actors have aged at the very least 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
So some of them haven't missed a beat. Some of them, sorry, Rogue, you sound really good, but you sound like you're older, obviously. But a
Rogue's a
great
3-pack
show,
a day lady.
great show. So I need to check it out every Wednesday now.
Yeah, I like someone had the idea. They were like, instead of releasing it Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock, they should have had it come out Saturday mornings at 9. So help me God, I would have been sitting down this morning with a bowl of cereal, just eating and watching that. I would have done it. I'd even go get the worst cereals.
And then lastly, because everybody was talking about it, on a more serious note, I was watching the Quiet on Set, the Dark Side of Kid Stars documentary. Basically, went deep into Nickelodeon and a few creators and such who have done some pretty bad things, and it makes you rethink how those shows played out or what they made those kids do on screen.
Mm-hmm.
The clips they showed, you were like, how did I watch the show and not see that? And yeah, it's getting to the point where there's people doing like a exodus from Paramount Plus because they're like, I got it to watch my Nickelodeon shows, but I don't like what Nickelodeon stands for anymore. So it's
Yeah,
rough.
yeah, I haven't watched it because a lot of the shows are covering is stuff outside. I was kind of out of the age to watch. But I mean, I just haven't had a chance to watch the documentary yet.
It's dark. It's called Dark Side of Kid Stars for a reason.
Yeah.
It's dark, but it's something that puts a new light on those kids shows like Zoe 101 and Drake and Josh and stuff like that. So
Okay. That got depressing. So let's move on to something happier, I guess. We'll cover kind of what I've been up to. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire released, and I've seen it. Steven, you're going to see it Sunday. So I will give my thoughts on it, but and spoil the entire film. So here's what happens. I'm kidding. I'm not actually going to do that. You know I'm not going to. I hate spoilers. But I loved it. As much I keep seeing these reviews giving it like 4 out of 10s or 1 star. Somebody even had the balls to put it right there with Madam Web and like this is one of the was well, I can't remember the third
IGN.
film. It wasn't even IGN. One of them they released. I can't remember the name of the movie. Then there was Madam Web and then Spider-Man or not Spider-Man. Ghostbusters saying these are the 3 worst movies of the decades and they are full of shit. It's not a masterpiece. It's a Ghostbusters movie. It's basically a live action episode of real Ghostbusters, which I'm perfectly fine with. That's what it is. There's lots of little jokes and references. The characters kind of jump around a bunch. It was great. And I also have a ghost trap. I got a bunch of the stuff for that. So this one actually opens up. I have a couple of little ghosts falling in there, my Slimer. I got this. I got the metal tin from Regal. I got the cup that's got Slimer on top of it. And then Brent went and watched it out on the beach, and he got a hold of the Firehouse tin and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man bucket. Nice. And then I have the Ecto 1 bucket on the way, the actual shape like Ecto 1. So I have a lot of things to eat popcorn in that I'm not going to actually eat popcorn in. Stay Puft maybe if I can clean it properly, but they wanted to put the popcorn in the bucket and in the trap, and I was like, no, I'll never get it out. It will be so in there with the butter. No.
Yeah, I've had a few theaters when the Mario movie came out. I was like, no, If I have to pay for another popcorn, I will. Don't put any popcorn in here, thank you.
Yeah, they were really weird about the cups because we got the combo and I was like, all right, I wanted to get one more of the cups because I wanted the different toppers. It had like 3 or 4 of them. Plus that much popcorn, one drink, 3 people. Let's get another cup so we can at least have some. They would not let me get another drink unless I bought a whole other combo. And I'm like, that's already a massive thing of popcorn. I don't need more popcorn. You're
Was it
already
only was it only popcorn? You couldn't get like a hot dog or something?
no. Had to be the popcorn bucket, which like
Wow.
cool. It would have been nice to get the other bucket, but I don't want to pay that much just to get a drink to get that cup. And then I've already bought 2 ghost traps that are supposed to come with popcorn that you're not giving me popcorn for. So it's like you're already making out on that part of it. Of course, popcorn for them is so cheap they don't care. But more importantly, the movie was a lot of fun. Jennifer had a blast. Amanda liked it. Um, so ignore the reviews, people crapping on it. If you like Ghostbusters, just go watch it. You'll have fun. After that, I finally started up Princess Peach Showtime today, and I've been playing through it. I think I've unlocked all of the suits. I think the last one is the Kung Fu one, which I'm actually in the middle of right now. I put it to sleep before I came to the show. Because that's the game I started messing with it. I ran the Switch through my RetroTink 4K, so I'm playing it in 4K now on the TV, which is nice just to see how it scales up and if it's any cleaner. I'll do some comparison shots, but I'm liking it at least. I've also been watching X-Men 97. I watched that last night with Amanda, and it was like immediately going back to my childhood of growing up and watching that show. And I loved all the little details they had in there. And the fact my boy Cyclops was done right. Like, he's not just a dude with laser eyes that everyone thought he was. They're using the blast, like his concussive force, because it's supposed to be a concussive blast, not an energy blast. And he's using it to move himself around quickly or to like block kicks and punches. And then when they threw him out of a plane and he used the blast to land, I was like, oh, you smooth mother.
Yeah, and they made sure that he's always adjusting it, so he's.
And there's one scene in the second episode. I'm not really spoiling it, but I wanted to talk about it. They have a character called Executioner that's coming after him that hits him in the face and knocks his visor off with a rod. Goes to fight him, and this whole time there's civilians and people all around. Scott could end the fight at any moment by just opening his eyes, which they did have a great joke of that in the first episode. But the fact he is taking this beating and fighting back without doing that, I liked that little detail that doesn't get mentioned much because he knows there's innocent people or even not so innocent people around him, but he's so into Xavier's view of the world, trying not to cause more harm, that he's taking that beating like blood's coming out of him. Like they did not edit this show, thankfully. Um, not much more than it was, but like we're actually seeing blood now. And Scott does not want to cross that line, so he doesn't just take the easy out and open his eyes. He's having to kind of fight with that
Yeah,
handicap.
this one definitely makes you care for the characters more, especially once you're done with the first 2 episodes.
Oh yeah.
And I think what I also liked was the characters that are now like not like they're special episodes, they're part of the team, are part of the graphic now. So if you try to do the old and the new intro, which still have the amazing music, they added in Morph and they added in Bishop to the intro now.
That's one thing I'm going to note. Under no circumstances, do not skip the opening animations of any episode. They're all different. Every one of them is tweaked for the episode. So even the first and second openings have differences in them with characters that came in, came out, costume changes, little details. And I love the fact that they included at the end of it, they show the little 3D model spins of the characters with little bits of information, which was ripped right out of the original 90s version when they had that really poor CG models, or like early CG models back then.
I can say now that they didn't utilize him a lot in the first few seasons, this character, but for good reason. Won't spoil anything. But for people watching and enjoying it, if you want to use the word buffed or nerfed, they really buffed Morph, and he is a living Easter egg now. It's awesome.
Yes. Oh my god, I love the fact of how many Easter eggs came out of him, and then even the very last scene, like they have the whole relationship with him and Wolverine, which is great. Like how those two have
It
always
keeps
been
you
close.
guessing because you were like, "What? Oh,
Yeah, I mean, hell, that even comes into play. There's a bunch of them during the fight with Scott and Executioner I was talking about. Like that's a whole, like you've got 30 seconds of just, oh, I know that guy. Oh, I know that guy. Oh, I know that guy.
and he's basically tasked with like voicing the rest of the cast his own way in a mocking way. So I was like, that's great.
Oh yeah, no, that was hilarious. Oh man. And of course, the other thing to move into is that Chase and I have finished Gears of War 2. So we're 2 down in the entire Gears series. And tonight, after the show, after I grab some more pizza and some root beer, uh, me, Chase, and now Steven will be going through Gears 3. Uh, I'm trying to see if I can find a fourth person because I want to do the 4-player achievement. See if I can find someone for that. It'd be kind of nice to be able to do it because there was only a few of them were 4-player.
What difficulty are we playing on?
Hardcore is usually what I play on.
Okay.
I think you can adjust it per person though, because I know Gears 2 you could. I could set like I could put mine on whatever I wanted. I just didn't have Insane opened up yet for some reason
I
on
guess
that
does it just
profile.
make you more of a sponge? I don't know.
It affects how much damage the characters take, which means if you're on an easier setting, you might actually be able to shoot people and kill people faster than we can. I think your ammo pickups are a little bit different. The ammos you find,
We'll
they have
check.
ways to. I think you die easier. Maybe what they do, but
We'll check when we play. Yeah.
yeah, they're pretty good about it. I just Gears always feels right for me to at least play on hardcore. That's what I've always liked. So, all right, let's jump into the news. Then we got a couple of things to cover today. Hey, so starting off weird, The Sims. Everyone's familiar with it. We've all probably played some form of it because it is just the natural evolution of Sim City that became EA's monster of DLC. Well, it's getting a live action adaptation movie with Margot Robbie as producer and Kate Herron as the director. And we're not going to talk about this one too much because there's not much to talk about, but it's just like The Sims is getting a movie. I don't even know what to say about that anymore. Like,
Whether it be self-deprecating, a little like Barbie did, they
I'm about to
said.
say Barbie kind of proves you can just
Um,
make a movie out of a toy. It doesn't matter.
except it didn't work for Battleship. But anyway,
You know, that's a good popcorn film to me. I will watch Battleship and enjoy it. It's not a great movie, but it
but if
has its
there's not a
moments.
scene in this movie where they take the ladder away from the pool when they're in it, I'm gonna be mad.
Just have one guy. That should be the after credits. Some guy just swimming in the pool. Hello, hello. I can't get out. Oh, someone's gonna burn up in their house when they cook something wrong. Oh man. So yeah, look forward to The Sims. All right, next. All right, so we're all familiar with World of Warcraft. It's one of the largest MMOs in the world, or at least it used to be. You think of playing with friends and communicating, building up your levels for you've got the different sides you play on. Now it's gonna have, or it has, Battle Royale. The mode called Plunderstorm will be a 6-week test run with the possibility of it returning later if it's met with positive response. And I believe you said earlier your wife is playing it now.
Yep.
I'm curious how she likes it.
It used to be the battle royales would be every hour.
Mm-hmm.
Now they changed it to every half hour, so you get more chances to try it out.
Nice. It is a completely new mode that requires a new character to be created. From you can unlock stuff with it, like you build levels fighting creatures in the game, and then fighting other people. Try and get as high level as you can. So by the end of it, if you face off with somebody, you have a chance depending on what you do. All of your spells and all of your items now have to be they have a timing to them, so they actually have visual indications. So you can't just click it and forget it. So you kind of can tell if someone's casting a fireball or doing whatever. Like there's a visual indicator to try and get out of the way to make it fair. There's rewards that you'll get. I guess those will probably go back to your main account, is what we were guessing. Once again, your wife just became the litmus test for all of this for us. I'm very curious to find out. Go ahead.
And I do want to say this is good news for Blizzard, because on the other end of the spectrum, I'm just going to add in there that they just put out that Overwatch 2, they are scrapping their PvE mode and strictly doing competitive, which I hope isn't true, because I liked the Halloween events and the other events they had. I know as a caveat, they're just unlocking all the characters next season, so you don't have to do any battle passes.
Mm-hmm.
But come on, Blizzard, how can you you cancel each other out when you have a win and a loss in one day?
Yeah, and Overwatch used to be one of my favorite series to play for multiplayer, and then after they came out with 2, I never even bothered messing with it because all the stuff you had to go through, and I was like, all right, I don't want to fight with that. And then they shut down 1, so it's like I can't even use the one I already had.
Yeah, I still smile when I go to like pawn shops and such, or game stores that don't get it, and I see copies of Overwatch 1, and I'm like, those don't work. You can't eat. They don't do anything.
I some of the stores I go to in Pensacola, I will give them credit for the fact they put a sticker on there saying it will not work, but they have a couple available for people that are trying to go for complete sets or something. Like, cool.
Yeah, hopefully they're charging like, I don't know, $1, because
it's like $1, I think is what it is.
Literally a coaster now, so it's like, okay.
Yeah, I think they also keep a lot of the extras for like swap out cases. So if they get a good game in but the case is ruined, they'll just swap it out, and they're handling it well. But I have seen some places that try and sell it as an actual game, and I'm like, you guys know that and Battleborn and some of these games just don't even turn on anymore, right? They're just like, no, it's playable. No, it's not.
Yeah, there was a suggestion that went out there, not to go too far off topic, where somebody did an op-ed, basically a piece saying, you know what these companies should do is, if you're going to shut down your live service game, you should see if you can allow for people to make their own private servers. Because if people are willing to put the time and effort or even money into that, let them do it to keep it alive. That's how you can still play Phantasy Star Online right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's the only way it actually works. Even the GameCube one's playable if you find the modem, which somebody made a new modem. We're getting so off track. So let's just drop this and move on to our next story then. So Epic Games, the lovely makers of the Unreal Engine and the bane in the asses of Apple right now, they've demonstrated the 5.4 update for Unreal, and holy crap, it looks really good. Like, I know these are tech demos. Some of the stuff they were showing is like in-engine demos for games and so forth. But even on that caveat, this stuff really looked super good. Like, there were moments I confused it for a moment as a real person. Like, just momentary, just kind of, not paying attention, looks at, which was great. But the game they showed off first, this is from Amy Hennig, who's writing it, producing it. She is one of the original creators and writers of the Uncharted series, so like she knows what she's doing. But she's making Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. And this was one of their big first tech show-offs. It's coming out in 2025, where they showed Captain America during World War II, or before, right around World War II, and Black Panther, which would have been T'Challa's grandfather at the time. And wow, they looked really, really good. They were showing how the environments were made, how they've managed to streamline it so they get all this graphical fidelity and all these things they can do, but it's not taking up like so much space and so much power, which I think that's our next big graphical change. Is not going to be so much a visual change as an efficiency change, I think, is what we need to get to now, because you can brute force it, but go ahead.
Just don't let Square Enix touch that game.
Yeah. That's what's kind of funny. The Avengers game, I have it, and they did, when they shut down the services, they did exactly what you said, where they opened it up. They gave everybody all the DLC, and I bought the game and played it. It's actually fun. Like, I liked playing it. It was just such a slog having to pay all that money for all that stuff to try and get anything. if they had not done that, the game I think would have done well. Like it was actually
Yeah.
fun.
Chocobo GP did it where you just earn they removed all the microtransactions
Mm-hmm.
and it plays like a very good Mario Kart with your Final Fantasy injected in there. And yeah, it's awesome now. And now you just earn stuff by just playing it.
Which sucks because that's why I skipped the game, was because of that. Um, but we're getting sidetracked again. We're really good at that. Some of the other stuff they talked about, Fortnite will be getting another graphics and animation overhaul, more modes, options for creators, and a first person mode they kind of showed
Yeah,
off.
they've been promising that since the get go. So that was the biggest news. Runs with no hiccups. So people are really excited for first person mode, especially since before then it was just when you went down a scope of a rifle. Um, they've done a lot more mocapping, so the animations don't ever look like they're going to be interrupted. Now there's going to be a seamless transition
Mm-hmm.
whenever you like change directions and stuff. So they've improved upon that, and then for the modes and options for creators, they're giving kind of all these extra options for when you create your own cutscenes or your own storylines, since you're
Mm-hmm.
using your Unreal editor and stuff. So I was just like, I don't know, this game's creeping up to Minecraft pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean the tools available are really impressive, and I like the fact that Unreal lets you work on this stuff for free, make games, put things out, and practice and learn. Because if people have that accessibility without the cost overhead, they tend to learn that software, so that gets them experience. They get a job in it, then they start paying for it and doing stuff when it becomes a financial gain to them. And Unreal's already got their foot in the door with these people because of it. They're not having to go and learn something new, or you know, like with Photoshop, they make you buy a student version or pay for this money. This just lets you
Yeah,
in, so anyone
the
can do it.
the best part is it looks so good. They said all the cutscenes can be just rendered in real time, and then you can add your own shading effects or lighting to make it look even better that you couldn't do in like a real gameplay environment. But then upon that, they because they showed Lego being all done in real time,
Mm-hmm.
but now they just had a prop hunt, which is a very popular Half-Life mod, has now come to Fortnite, so you and your Lego characters can hide as different objects around like a arena or room, and that's great. And I was just like, you guys just keep adding more and more to it. Um, Hell, I pre-ordered the PDP guitar for Fortnite Festival.
I missed out on that. I wanted to get it, sadly. I think already people are trying to sell it for hundreds of dollars. I'm like, this is why I hate the aftermarket for people.
I think PDP themselves sold out, and then Amazon offered it for the two systems, and then Best Buy offered it for the two systems. So it's worth checking the retailers over the official website because I don't know how they'll be working their stock levels.
Yeah, I'd like to try and get a hold of like the Xbox One, but we'll see.
Yeah, I
Um,
got that one mainly because they said Rock Band 4 would work with it, and I was like, okay.
yep. The last part of that, Fall Guys, is also coming to Fortnite, where you can make and share your own custom levels. So that's cool. Um, but you don't have to worry about it. The original Fall Guys will continue to get updates, so it's not like going away. It's not being eaten alive. It's just, it's now also here. So,
Speaking of custom levels, real quick,
uh-huh.
we have a breaking news. All of the levels have finally been completed in the original Super Mario Maker for Wii U.
That's right.
They had a
The
team
Wii U
working on
one.
it that were trying to complete them all, and then they found out the last one wasn't a real level at all, so they are officially done.
Cheeky bastards. Uh, well, good. I'm glad that's at least finished, because we're losing that service here in just a couple weeks, I
Yeah,
think.
so they were like, we need to play these last unbeaten levels, so they beat them, and then the last one was just like somebody put it in there as like a joke or something. So they were like, this
Oh,
isn't a real
lovely.
playable level.
They suck. All right, next story. All right, Shinji Mikami. He has officially left Tango Gameworks, and before that, because he left Capcom originally to form Platinum, then left Platinum to form Tango. Now he's left Tango to form KAMUY. KAMUY. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing it correctly because I haven't heard anybody say it yet. So, but they're already working on the Shadows of the Damned Hella Remastered. which is great. Have you ever played that game?
I played the original. Definitely a trip.
Mm-hmm.
And
The talking shotgun and other things. Yes.
and yeah, seeing that the remastered one's even coming to Switch, I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'm curious how that's gonna work. But Shinji Mikami like just loves to kind of like he'll build up all of his stuff and go, no, I want to start again. And he keeps doing that. And I think he finds a freedom in that. Like he leaves what he's doing behind and then goes to create something new. Ironically, recreating an older game now as a port, but I'm sure something is going to come from this. So
Yeah, but I think since he's working side by side with Suda51, he'll get some experience. So it's more like he's to the detriment of the company, whatever. Um, he's kind of just like going about picking up on just experience with all these other developers, either working with them to see if they ever want to collaborate on a game, to just learning more, because it seems like he's just like, in my lifetime I want to learn as much as possible.
let's just hire him at Nintendo. No one ever seems to leave there. And it's like, can he leave? Is it a trap? Like, oh man. All right. Up next. So this is an involved one. If you ever read any of the news over at Kotaku, well, you're not going to get much news for much longer. Kotaku's editor in chief, Jen Glennon, has resigned after taking over the position in October of 2023 after Geo Media, their parent company, handed down an edict that they will be moving to producing guides rather than covering news as much. Because, we don't have a whole bunch of other websites that are already designed around guides or
And
guides you can buy or
it
huh?
bears mentioning their quota is 50 guides a week.
Yeah,
There's
that
not even that
is.
many games out there.
Yeah, like are they having to go back and just pull guides? Like, people are gonna be scrambling for like Atari 2600 guides, going like, I need to make my quota. How many 2600 games are there? The moment I see
Insane.
someone put up the guide for Beat 'em and Eat 'em, I know they have just signed off that week. They're
Like
done.
I can understand way back when, in the infancy of Kotaku, this would have been a banger of an idea, even though it would be a crunch. But we have YouTube, we have GameFAQs still.
Yeah,
We
GameFAQ is the gold standard for that. I
we
still
have
use it.
we have Reddit, we have forums, we have so much information. We don't need you to make guides.
And even on top of that, you've got like IGN. They have a whole guide segment, but they do like interactive maps and like they have a whole section of a company around that. They have such a leg up on that position while still doing news. Kotaku is just like collapsing because of this. Now, Glennon made a statement about this in a letter. It was actually part of how she was announcing she was leaving to Geo Media execs, Jim Spanfeller and Liga Goldman. She said, quote, after careful consideration, I have concluded that the current management structure and decision-making processes at Geo Media are not aligned with my values and goals for Kotaku. I firmly believe that the decision to invert Kotaku's editorial strategy to deprioritize news in favor of guides is fundamentally misguided. Good choice of words. Given the current infrastructure of the site, this decision is directly contradicted by months of traffic data and shows an astonishing disregard for the livelihoods of the remaining writers and editors who work there. So yeah, she's not happy with this decision and just went ahead and cut and run. Other weird change that seems to have happened in the past couple of days since this announcement, all comments on all articles are gone. You cannot comment, talk about, or anything. So any of the back and forth of communication they had with people, they just wiped off the face of the earth. And I'm wondering if they got such a vitriol backlash in the comments section about it that they just decided to nuke the entire thing just to be sure.
I want to see if they still allow comments on their X.
I don't know about that. I haven't looked at their.
They still do. So
Yeah,
all the vitriol is being transferred over there.
which just blends in with the rest of the vitriol because Twitter is just a cesspool of human hatred. I hate that place. So yeah, I guess this could be the end of Kotaku as it is, or they're going to become a guides maker. What the hell? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I
That's,
don't know what direction they're taking, but they're barking up the wrong tree.
I mean, just a few years ago, Kotaku was like heavy into the news, like breaking massive stories and reporting on things, and now they're making guides, and it's like, what a flip flop, man.
Do you know who finds the breaking news now? The people who left.
Yeah,
Jason Schreier, Stephen Totillo,
Totillo.
they
Yep.
get breaking news now that they've left because they know they can be a freelance journalist and they already have their credentials of where they need to go. They're not being told stop, stay in the office and write guides all day.
Or being told by one part of the company, don't write that article because it'll hurt this part of the company. They're just doing it. So yeah, oh man, that whole thing is a mess. I have a feeling we're going to see that site go down here pretty soon, and a couple other sites are kind of following suit. I know some of the stuff for Kotaku has not been the best, but on occasion they're not bad for finding news and things that are going on. So what are you looking at me like that for?
There's many other places I'd rather go.
Well, I try and look around, but all right, moving on. So whenever, Nintendo knocks down one thing, another thing seems to come up. A new USB device has been released for the Nintendo Switch that lets you copy Switch carts and all of their data. I'm not going to name this device because I don't really see much of a point for it right now, because I have a feeling this may end up costing us physical backwards compatibility on the Switch too. Nintendo's already delayed this system. They could just remove all the ability to play physical copies because of this. So the intent is to let you back up your titles, but also be able to play them online from those backups, which means it has to also copy over the unique cart identifier for each game. So people could buy a game, copy it, return it or trade it in, and then if someone plays that copy online at the same time you are, or a copy of that copy, because let's be realistic, as soon as it gets to a website, that thing's going to be disseminated out like a venereal disease after a war ends. Um, then other people playing at the same time, like say some kid gets a new system and is playing a copy of Mario Kart his parents bought him that was used, or someone in the store copied it early from a new copy, they could get banned for no reason. And that's just, I don't, like, come on, man, like what the hell. And I saw some of the comments, people were going off like just ripping in about Nintendo, they deserve it and all that stuff. But go ahead, Steven.
So, two things.
Mm-hmm.
I did look into this. I did pre-order it. Don't know what I'm going to use it for either, but I feel that down the line, when there's more homebrew stuff down the
Right.
pipeline, that some stuff might come in handy. However, I think what people have to realize is what originally made the Yuzu so popular was they had that tool that could, decrypt and kind of make their own certifications and do all these other things where
Mm-hmm.
tons of people could get it. I don't necessarily think, I think it's going to be very, I want to say, what's the word I look for? Very close knit for the situation you put out there, because there's a lot of people who don't allow you to return Switch games.
Right.
Because they just put it in their electronics policy. They don't care what format it is.
There's
So
a
I
lot of
don't,
places though that will trade in games, or you could sell them, eBay and other places like that. Like they could just, I made my copy and then sell it off.
I still I was looking at some forums where people are just saying I don't think they'll go through the trouble of doing all that, because the other one was so easy. You just went to a website and got what you needed. This one takes a lot more work and loss of money. So you're not really making out like a bandit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if this happens, it's going to be pretty small. It's kind of the worst case scenario. However, the company itself, yes, I won't mention them either, but they do have on their site that you are to use it this way,
Mm-hmm.
and you are going against the basically the terms of the sale as you're buying it. So they just said if you use it for any other thing, they basically say like we
They're
waive all
covering their ass.
responsibility because we told you you're only supposed to use it for this. So they know like they're not offering any nefarious thing. This is similar to some things like the thing I have right now called the Polymega, which allows me to dump my games I own onto a system and play them, and kind of not have to wear down the cart or the CD or anything like that.
Right.
One thing I could see with this is because it works hand in hand with their other device, is if people wanted to say keep it in the family, basically meaning only you, say you didn't have room for all your games, you could, if you put them all on one card, and then you just use that to travel with. So it's,
Right.
it's got some implications, and I can understand the negative side of it. I feel they're, the other ones are just, there's a lot of people who like to, I don't know, explode out the gate with the worst possible scenarios as their like thumbnails, when we don't know that yet. There's protections put in place for the seller, and it's up to the buyer what they do with it. Everything can be used the wrong way.
Well,
you know,
I'm not going by someone's thumbnail. I'm looking at this as like I've worked retail. I know how people will take these things. I've worked on modifying systems. I've seen how a lot of the people, especially like in our some of our groups around here, people are pushing really hard for just emulating stuff or put, if we don't have to buy it, then fine. There are a lot of people that are like that. So yeah, you've this tool does have good uses, but I also wonder how that's going to be used because it's kind of a bad taste in my mouth because it's still an active system. Like people, you know, there's already talking about emulators of like, oh, you don't have to buy Peach because we've already got it running on this other emulator or how it's running. Like, don't buy any of the Nintendo games, just run with this. And it's like, I get it. You want something newer, but if this is going to mess with how the Switch 2 works, how is that, how is Nintendo going to function with that? If this opens
uh,
up a gate where that can change or
and I also feel like where you would put this, it would
Mhm.
have to be pretty well like dark web, or pretty well hidden inside a certain forum that wouldn't
Mhm.
get noticed by the Nintendo Ninja, or ninjas, I should say, because there's more than one. Um, because you're literally uh stealing, like almost like you're taking a candy bar if you decide to post it online. So, are you willing to take that risk just so other people can download your game? It's just,
and it's not the
again,
same
you don't have the
example.
protection of Yuzu anymore. That all you did was dump one file, and Yuzu had the tools to do the rest.
Right. Like I've done stuff like when I backed up things for the DSiWare store or the WiiWare store when they were going down. People were having those entire libraries on like Google Drives that certain groups should let you get access to. And that's how I got a hold of it. So some people do use stuff like that to do that. Not saying everybody's going to on that one. That's a lot of data trying to move around. These games aren't small. Like I said, I'm not trying to be like, oh, everything's, destroy the world, but
I
just trying to be
just
cautious on how that tech is used.
I just think right now there's not enough people talking about it that it's going to be a small blip, but I don't think it will influence Nintendo's decision necessarily,
Right.
because it's going to be so tight knit that it's not going to be where everybody's talking about it, because lesson 1, don't talk about it. It's Fight Club.
Yeah.
And
I
if you, when you're creating such a big thing about it that Kotaku even talked about it, then now you're putting eyes on it who don't care about video games and are just about like, oh, I don't think that's right. I'm going to report it, because there's people who are from different mediums who are just out to be the white knight. So you're going to
right.
have those situations too. So I think this is kind of like a lot of devices out there for both legacy systems, retro systems, and now more newer systems, is they're just like, shh, like we have this option, but it's not something we're going to really advertise out there that you need to do it.
Which is funny because it was blatantly shown as a recommended video to me on YouTube. So I was like, yeah, this isn't a small thing. Like they're publicly advertising it and pushing stuff. So we'll see.
Algorithm knows you.
Maybe. I don't know. Like the tool, I see the purpose of it. I'm not saying the tool should not exist. And if it was something like the Switch was coming to an end, the new system was coming out, and you're dealing with the older stuff, then you're then it's more like an R4 card or something for, DS or 3DS, which no longer has a market. But when you're dealing with systems that are backwards compatible and how that changes, and I think the Yuzu lawsuit and that whole situation, probably if there were changes to the Switch 2, that's more of what the catalyst would be. We'd be trying to stop that from happening. But this doesn't help. There was also an existing card people had before that you would keep putting in that's become almost, phantomware at this point. You can keep putting it in, it would cycle between different games on the cart, and you could play all, what your whole library on there because it found a way to
I think that's
bypass
the
it.
same guys. I think that's the
Oh,
same guys because they've
so
sent
this may never come out then because that ended up becoming a scam. It never came out.
because they've sent a few out there to obviously the ones who've shown it off, and yes, guilty as charged. It says they're shipping by the end of the month. So I was like, okay,
We shall see.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So on to our last bit of news and other surprise. So Dragon's Dogma 2, this has been a meteoric rise, people potentially calling it Game of the Year and so forth, a single player RPG from Capcom that is now absolutely bomb reviewed on Steam to the point they've kind of delisted part of it. It doesn't come up in recommendations anymore and has a highly negative rating because, well, after they waited for all these glowing reviews to come out, they decided to then come in and add microtransactions and other things to the games, which has been interesting. This includes stuff for fast travel, character customization, which is a big one. Like they keep your character design on a server, so you can't even start a new game and reset your character. You are stuck with that character unless you pay the fee, which I looked into that. That's kind of fucked up.
Wait,
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
you can go to the barber, and you can change yourself. And there is a spell book called the Art of Metamorphosis that you're using in-game currency with very low amount, and then you can change your character all you want.
How long does it take to get to that? Because this is my problem. So
It's the
no matter
beginning of the game.
Okay, because for a lot of stuff I'm seeing, that's not always the case for a lot of these, and that's the point of them doing this though, is everyone's like, oh, it's innocent, you can get it in the game, and I'm like, you're giving them the benefit of the doubt, but you can now not look at anything. If anything is difficult to get in the game, if there's a challenge to get to something, was that challenge put there because they're trying to build the game up and want a challenge, or are they trying to push people towards spending money? And it's not something like Helldivers, the way they do it, where they're giving you stuff, and even that one I'm watching to see, do the rates of drops change, like for the amount they give you, or how often we run into stuff. Because we were specifically looking for super credits for you. We were like, oh, they're getting a little bit harder to find, which I think was a level difficulty thing. But it still brings up that idea that because they're pushing, and that list of microtransactions, whether you agree with it or not, is ridiculously long. Like there's so many little things in there you can do, but it's, for easier options for fast travel, the character customization, there's just like a whole laundry list of different things. And yes, you can get them in game, but anytime you do that, you're going to wonder, was this made more difficult for that other reason? And that's what I don't like about them doing stuff like that. And then also they're forcing de novo and anti-cheat and some other stuff onto a single player game, banning mods from being able to be done to it because they don't want people to use mods to change your looks or do other stuff. And I get it. People want the argument of like, oh, it's fine, just deal with it. But it's also something we should not have to deal with in some of these games. It's very weird. And we've got Baldur's Gate 3 just sitting there going, yeah, we didn't do any of this. There will be no microtransactions. They're not even doing DLC. They were like, it's already a complete game. We're just going to go with it from that. And, you can change your character however you want, as many times as you want. Fast travel is just if you get to a place, it's there. You're seeing kind of the point the argument I'm making, not so much of like this specifically, but
Yeah, but if it's basically, if you're not used to it by now, just it's for me it's fine. There's it's don't focus on the negative because the game's really well put together. The game's really fun. Whether this just tells Capcom maybe we shouldn't release their games on Steam because things get bombed.
Well, they can't. The games aren't even running very well. Part of the thing, though, like I asked somebody, like, all right, how do you get the credits that you need for certain stuff? And what's led to, and I've seen this on Twitter, you have to make another character, a partner or whatever that's with you,
Pawn,
design
yeah.
them up in a certain way, and then market them out. Like there's people that are talking about it going like they've got huge groups of friends that they rent each other's characters out, and that's how they earn money and do stuff. If you're just playing it and you don't have that, you are grinding for stuff that you may not get right away, which is going to push you towards having to go spend cash. Because if you can't market out your person, which is should not be a job in a single player game, to whore out your character for other people to use it in order to make one of the bits of money you need to buy some of these things, that's not easy. That's a very weird choice to do, and that's what kind of really put me off of it being, well, I'll just ignore it. You can't ignore it unless you have that circle of friends. So
But that's kind of how Dragon's Dogma 1 worked with renting out your pawns.
after the DLC, that's another time they added that. Initially it didn't, I don't believe.
Because this is a unique game, so people going in thinking it's a Soulsborne or I don't know, just like a regular hack and slash. It's just like no, or a Monster Hunter clone or something like that. It's like no, there's more to it. Dragon's Dogma is done a specific way. It's why people were looking forward to the second one because of how the first one worked. So most of this is streamlined that way, but I remember tons of games that gave you shortcuts that you bought. Even NBA Jam when it came out for 360 was just like, are you tired of playing all those basketball games to unlock Isaac Clarke? You can just pay $10 and we'll give you everything. Pay another $5 and get all the team colors. And it's like
That's still, they're creating the problem that they're wanting you then to pay to get around. That's what I'm trying to say. Anytime there's a challenge where you're like, well, I need to make this easier and I'll just pay them money to do it. They're the ones that designed the game. They're the ones that made the roadblock that you're having the problem with. If you're playing a racing game and your car just doesn't seem to be fast enough to beat this race, but you could pay $5 and get a faster car, that's not because you just got unlucky. That's because they designed that car to be slower than it needed to be. You could just make it if you were really good, but they wanted you to spend that $5, and there's no way to separate those two choices from each other.
I don't think it's getting too predatory for something like this. There's a lot of games that
Well, this is the
it.
game that's now getting this massive backlash because people have gotten tired of it happening. And then the fact
They
that
also have
reviewers
to
didn't do it. Like,
they also have to realize though that these games cost hundreds of millions of dollars now. We've had Harada from Tekken. He's already talked about how things are very expensive and
mhm,
some of the cosmetics you just can't earn. You're just gonna have to pay for it, and we'll
right.
give you tons and tons and tons of options. The list was released because of the improperly redacted stuff from the court case that the Last of Us games cost over 200 million,
Right.
and they spent 500 million dollars for the Monopoly Go marketing, and that's insane. So twice the budget of Last of Us Remastered Part 2. I was like, are you kidding me? So there's a
But you're
lot of money going around, and I feel that to not have layoffs and stuff like this, that it's unfortunately for everybody
but this
involved,
this
it's
isn't
a
just like
necessary evil with
this
these
isn't like
games.
cosmetics or stuff like that. It's not like you can get this nice looking armor in the game. It's functional parts of it. That would be like, you can unlock, maybe you can unlock some of these specific special moves in Tekken, or you can pay for them on there. Like it's parts of the actual game itself, your fast travel system, and other parts of it. I didn't have the entire list right here,
So,
but
so what about the Skyward Sword amiibo?
that actually, yeah.
Gives you fast travel.
Hmm.
You have to pay $25 for it. It's a lot more than they'll charge you in Dragon's Dogma. Yes, you get a nice little statue, but there was uproar with that. But everybody does it. It's just Nintendo makes it fun. They say, you want your DLC? Well, we'll give you physical DLC.
No, there's people that didn't pay for that. There's people that did not get the game because of it. I mean,
You know, it's just what they do. It's just, you know, I'm just like, okay, as long as there's not like servers that are gonna like make this game unplayable in the future, that I only care about the game being preserved. If they're gonna drop in microtransactions, we
see, I
literally
still
just talked about them removing them down the line for other games. So it's, if you want to wait this game out and see if it just gets taken out later,
well, the
it's,
fact, like, I found out, like, they, to keep you from being able to change your character model, they keep that on their servers. So you don't even get to keep locally what your character's like. So I'm like, if that server is not there eventually, will this game be playable if you can't make a character? We don't know these things yet. So
it might be something they announced to, you know, lengthen the game after it's run its course. Right now, it's had the most players that they said any of their games ever had, so they already had their success.
right.
And it's still what I keep seeing people playing right now. So it's still a lot of fun.
There, I don't know. I've still seen a lot of stuff that's like I don't like what they're doing, especially with the de novo, where people are putting it on their computer, or if they're having to like change a setting for something, or they're putting it on their Steam Deck, and there's only so many times they're allowed to install it, so they're locked out of their game now. And like, we're still doing crap like that. Like, that happened to me back decades back with what was it, Spore? I was having to try and fix my computer, and when I was having to find out what was going on with it, it treated every time I turned it back on as a new installation, and eventually blocked me out of it. I never got to play it until way later when I had to buy it again on GOG. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, and that part sucks because I don't,
Yeah.
you know, especially with the recent thing where the anti cheat got hacked and kind of ruined you, and they haven't said anything yet. So, PSA to everybody out there: if you're playing an EA online game, stop until EA says it's safe to, because just about all their online games have the same anti cheat system, and somebody hacked into it. And what it does is it installs cheats on your game, whether you like it or not. But then it allows them to do things like ransomware on your PC and stuff. So, so yeah, anti cheat can be done well or done horribly, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and DRM in any form sucks. So,
Yeah. Unless it's the old spin
automation,
wheels, those were at least entertaining. Like, make the
automation
dude's
can tell
face.
you how horrible their DRM is. It's gone.
Yeah, very much so. All right, so we'll jump from this story into the big question, because this week it's actually kind of tied to it. I know it's a little hand wave. I miss Chris. Uh, there you go. A little late,
Happy
but
now.
we'll just edit the sound. So the other part of this whole situation, after when Dragon's Dogma originally came out and was reviewed, and then after the reviews were posted and everyone's like, "Oh, this is absolutely great," they added in the microtransactions after the fact, which we have had pretty bad cases of happening before. Um, but in this case, there was a couple reviewers that actually admitted, yeah, we knew about the microtransactions ahead of time. We just chose not to say anything about them. So the question I have, with the issue with Dragon Dogma 2 and other titles that let their reviews come out before adding in microtransactions to single or multiplayer titles, should it be a requirement that these be announced before their release to be included in a review, good or bad, so consumers can be honestly informed about what they are buying? Steven, you want to start off?
The journalists or the reviewers,
Mm-hmm.
yes. If you're told something's in the game, you should disclose it as part of your review. You're already saying that you were provided a code, so you're disclosing that.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not, unless the company, which would be big thumbs down to them and be a detriment to them, unless they specifically told you don't mention these, that would be horrible. But I doubt they did, as they said, here's microtransactions. Make of it of what you will. You know, give your review on them. And some of them, I guess, wanted more clicks or no clicks or whatever clicks. So I think, you know, as a journalist, you should have definitely not left anything out. I don't know who you're trying to pander to, or unless they said you got more money if you didn't mention it, that would be some dark stuff.
I'm about
The
to say they shouldn't
games,
even be paid
however,
for the review at all.
I don't feel need to say anything. The game companies themselves don't really need to say anything. It's on the box,
Not
guys. When you
always.
turn it over, it's on the site when you go it says, even says like add-ons for this item. So it's all like, do your research. If you're buying a game, like, you're gonna see that there's add-ons for it, because it's what they do to make money. So whether you're buying a digital or physical, it's there that there is DLC, you know, compatible or whatnot. So, Helldivers didn't say anything because it wasn't a big deal. It was just there as a shortcut.
I think they talked about that before its release, though. Like, we knew
I
about
never
that being
heard of
part
it.
of it for the, because they went into detail about the what, freaking what's the superstore or whatever it's called inside there. I keep thinking super credits and I blank on the name of the actual.
Superstore.
It's for Liberty, whatever it is. So my argument with that is I think the companies morally should have to say that. And the big one that gets me on that is Crash Team Racing on Switch. Nowhere on the box does it mention DLC or any of that stuff. Nowhere in their advertisement, nowhere on their website, nowhere in the reviews. It was after the launch that they went, you know what? Here's an update you have to have. It's mandatory. And now there is a bunch of microtransactions. We've lowered the amount of stuff you get for, races and to earn and unlock things. Like, they went in afterwards and added that in, which was a huge mess at the time. Because I was pissed about it and I haven't played it since. Because I was furious. I bought this thinking it would be a fun kart game for one of our game nights. And the expectation is I'd have to sit there and just grind out their seasons on the season pass and get, for they have a timed market for all the DLC. And I was like, this is not anything that I asked for. I would not have, just like with Chocobo GP, would not have bought this if I had known that was in there, because it's not what I wanted. If I knew about it ahead of time, I would have been able to make that choice. But I was not given that choice. I was lied to. And I'm not sugarcoating it. I honestly believe I was lied to. And I know that is one situation, but it kind of, I'm not going to lie, it taints a lot of these other ones. I think it's part of why I'm so annoyed with the Dragon's Dogma 2 thing. I don't like, if they're going to do it, tell me. Helldivers, I believe I saw it beforehand. So I knew it was there. I was informed. I made my choice. I bought it. We're good. Freaking love that game. We've killed each other way more than we've probably killed bugs. And it's not even versus multiplayer. Oh, the cannon that shot me and threw me across the map was hilarious last night, by the way. I literally stood up going, what's going on? Boom, done, just shot. I was like, I'm dead.
Guys, I died.
Yeah. So,
But I feel
go
like
ahead.
your crash side is, I would kind of partially put the blame to Activision, because
Yeah, it's not even partially. It was them.
Even with Call of Duty, it's like all been about that. And I always feel like developers don't go out of their way to do that. They are ordered to include something like that.
Yeah,
because I don't feel like anybody making these games are just like, we need to make DLC.
I'm not blaming the developers. This is straight up on Activision as a whole. Just at the point of, that's what I was talking about. Is like, there's so many pieces in that. I could not sit there and go, it is this person. I'm not trying to, center out anybody, but it was published by Activision, so that's where I have to kind of put the blame on that.
I also want to point out that, remakes notwithstanding, did you guys expect anything different after seeing Street Fighter 6's battle passes, after seeing Exoprimal and their live, which is a live service game pretty much, and you have to buy the game too?
Yeah, that's just a weird one. Most live service games, I'm like, like Fortnite, you just get for free and then you pay for stuff. I don't like the ones where you have to
Exoprimal,
buy
yeah,
it.
it's on Game Pass, but
Yeah,
if
it's
it
so
was,
weird.
but so is Disney Dreamlight Valley, which on every other system is pay to buy the game and then go into microtransaction land.
Yeah.
So it was kind of just like, it seems like unless it's a remake or a collection, hey guys, it's going to it's their edict right now from their higher ups. Like it makes them the money. They're just gonna do it. I'd be interested if because they always share how much these series sell. Um, we've sold 1 million copies. We've sold 2 million copies. Um, I'm just wondering if it ever got leaked, like how much they'd make off of DLC. Because I know mobile games and their crazy practices make
Yeah.
tons of money. And going back to Monopoly Go again with their $500 million marketing.
Something else has got to be going on with that. That just seems obscene. There's
So
money
they're now
laundering going
owned.
on.
They got sold off. So
Uh-huh.
they're now owned by a Saudi Arabia group,
Oh.
which are hands off because Monopoly Go, for all intents and purposes, they bought them for $2 billion. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and Monopoly Go has stated that in 1 week they have made $1 billion in transactions with Monopoly Go, and it was, I believe, Stephen Totillo or Totillo, if I'm saying his name wrong.
Totillo.
Sorry, Stephen. People spell my first name like yours and they still get it wrong. But even he said he understands how it's gotten to be that way is because unlike some of these other games, which, like you said, is a grind,
Mm-hmm.
Monopoly Go makes you think you're doing a really good job. So it gives you some dice, which you roll all at once, and you feel all these progress bars that probably mean nothing, but you feel all these progress bars, and you're like, "Holy cow, I'm doing amazing right now!"
Mm-hmm.
So then it gives you 100 more dice, 200 more dice, 500 more dice that you can roll all at once to get all these points and stuff,
Yep.
and all these level ups and these progress bars, and then suddenly, just like a casino, your dice run out and you either have to wait hours or you have to pay. And I'm like, that's kind of genius because there's not many games that let you have a fun time for that long.
Actually, there's for mobile. That's a lot of times I don't play them. They've got what was it like PUBG Mobile or some of those. Like they found out when you were first playing it, you're like, "Oh, I'm doing great, I'm winning," and you weren't actually being put up against people. It was a bot that's supposed to act like a person that would let you win, and that would go on for a while till you started getting filtered in with real people. So you would be invested buying costumes and guns and so forth because you're like, "Oh, I'm doing great at this. I could compete. I'm tearing these people up," and it's all a lie. And that's been a big one with mobile gaming, and I really
Yeah,
don't want that to come to console or computer game. I mean, it's already on computer gaming. That already happens. But
yeah. Marvel Snap does that because you face fake people,
yep.
and then you can tell when they're real because you're no longer facing off against Peter. You're facing off against like XX anti-trailer XX or something, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay.
They've already figured out the meta or they've bought the cards that came out
Because
that you couldn't get.
because I was doing the same thing as people would do in Monopoly Go. I'm
Yep.
like, I'm doing awesome. My cards are awesome, and I'm winning. And I won all these games in a row. And then I was like, who's this person? Oh, they're a real person because they're taking longer. I
Yep.
was like, oh goodness. So
Yeah. I ended up I stopped playing that one entirely because of that. It's like, yeah, I'm just falling into this trap of what's going
see now,
on.
I'm the other way. Um, just like Hearthstone, which I do love the gameplay mechanics of Hearthstone as well, and I wish it would come to a certain portable system. But
That'd be awesome. I'm surprised it hasn't really.
um, but they have a lot of story content
Hmm.
where you don't have to face other people,
Right.
and that's what I liked. I wish they would put in a Marvel Snap is give me a saga I can go through or something, or just give me a mode where you'll just, I don't know, kind of like a chess program does, just match me to a skill level on the, on the actual like program, not face other people. Like there's some people who just like the flow of the game and don't want somebody who's, I'm going to use a horrible word that happens in gaming now, but the meta loadout, which is just like you'll
Yeah.
always win or have the best chance of winning with this loadout. So don't use anything else. So then you end up seeing the same cards, the same characters, the same guns.
That's
It's
what
just like
happened in that game. Yep.
stop. It's gotten to the part where people will kick people in Helldivers for not having the meta loadout, to the part where Arrowhead's just like, no, we're going to start implementing something so people can kind of like shuffle away those players because we want everybody to have fun playing the game. So,
Right.
so
The
yeah, overall, like, I just, I could say it's like something else that you constantly see in the news. At this point, I'm kind of numb to negativity that keeps happening. So it's just at this point, I'm just like, it's there. The only last bastions I have are some Nintendo games. So
like I said, I'm not trying to be all negative about this. I worry about this as something that morally should be covered. And you brought up the thing earlier about Skyward Sword. Yes, you had to buy, you know, the thing for the fast travel that they added in for this version of the game, which was still weird that you could unlock it. Most of the time, they let you do it. That's kind of the one weird off put. But they advertised it. They said about it ahead of time. It was in reviews. People knew about it. I bought it knowing that was the case. I was getting the amiibo anyways, but people were informed. And I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. It was not a gotcha later on to try and get people to buy stuff. It was all laid out bare right from the get go.
I also think it's and it's you might not like to hear this, but I think it's also just riding the wave. People were mad at Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth for a little bit because you had to pay money to get New Game Plus.
That's why I didn't buy the game.
You didn't get it when you beat it, and I was just like, I don't care about New Game Plus, so okay, who cares?
Some people
But
do care though, and I do know people that did not get it, myself included, because of that.
I just think overall people are gonna just eventually, like they did, just buy the game. I think Dragon's Dogma will go through the same thing.
I think this is why we have cell phone games like we do, because people just gave in and did it. That's fine. Just let them do it. They're going to go to the easiest, least work they have to do. You just want to push the button, get happy feeling, and they're going to make money off of it from that beyond actually getting the game. And I don't want that for gaming. That's my worry,
It's what like a famous theme song once said: "You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and then you have the facts of gaming."
Oh, Lord.
Or the facts of life.
All right. Well, I think that's a good spot for us to end the episode for tonight. I've been your host, Jeremy Powers. Stephen has been joining me. If you wish to speak to us online, you can find us over on Twitter at Zenspath Podcast, where you can message us about the show. If you're watching the show over at youtube.com/ZenspathCom, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, send this to people, leave us a review or leave us a comment. We love talking with you. If you are wanting to listen to this show, you can find the audio version on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can get your podcast. Just look for Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. Leave us a review there and tell us what you think. 5 stars is great, helps us along. And once again, if you don't like something, fine, leave a review. Let us know what it is so we can actually work on it or figure out what's going on. Our actual contact information that you can find below the show, be it the audio version in the notes or below in the little area right below the YouTube video. I can never remember what it's called. All right, this has been episode 123. I meant to make a 123 joke and I forgot about it, which makes me realize one of my packages actually came from Sesame Street from Play Asia today. Great.
Nice.
All right. We're out. Peace.
I ain't afraid of no DLC.
Slime.